Hello and welcome to another episode of the... I was about to say something else. Sorry. Hello and welcome to the newest episode of the Drive Home podcast. The podcast where I'm the only one who wears a seatbelt. In theory. I don't remember if I covered this last time, so let's get this out of the way right now. That beeping, I know I said I didn't know what it was. I have an idea. And I'll get to that in a little bit. But anyway, I just got out of work at 9 tonight, so it's a bit... Okay, wipers. No need to scream at me. So I'm getting out later than I normally do, which isn't a problem. I'm okay with it. I'm a night person anyway. I can't fall asleep until like 2 in the morning normally. So I've got no problem closing. So yeah, about my car beeping. So in theory, it was so the original theory was that it had I didn't have all my wiper fluid, or like my wiper fluid was low, which isn't the case currently. And so my current theory is that for whatever reason, on the back, at the back of my car is supposed to have wiper fluid, but none's been coming out. So my theory is that that's why it's beeping, is because something is wrong with that, which I think should be fine, but I don't know. It's actually, I know recently I said it was very bright out, but tonight it's actually pitch black in the sky. Like, it feels like actual night again, which is fun. Though maybe that's just because it's 9 instead of 8. So... I mean, it's something. I don't know what I prefer, though. Being able to see at night or not. Because I'm so used to not being able to see at night. But then, you know, there it was, so... And you know, at nighttime, being able to see the sky is actually really interesting. Like, if you can, or if you have at some point, you probably, like... You know, you have to think about it at first, because if you don't realize it, you're just like, oh yeah, sure, whatever. But you can never be too sure with like when you're just looking at something and you're seeing it, but you're not really looking at it. That's something. I don't know. It's something that happens to me every once in a while, or more like all the time. But I'll be looking at something, but I'll be thinking about something else, and or somebody will tell me to look at something, and I'll just look in that direction and be like, oh yeah, I see that, without like thinking about it. Like, it's not in my head. I'm not thinking about it, and I think that's bad. It's not a good thing. You should really, like, for one, I should listen to my friends, and I usually do, to be fair. But like, sometimes you just look at something and you're just like, oh yeah, sure, yes, that, cool. And you don't really take it all in, I guess. And that's a little sad, but I mean, it's generally fine. It's just like, I think it depends on like what it is. Because especially when you look at nature and stuff, or like stuff that's natural, you have to really take a breath, like pause. You have to pause and like look at it, and you don't have to like necessarily think about it, but you do have to have a certain amount of perspective on yourself, I think, to truly appreciate it. Oh, it's a little cold tonight, I guess because of the rain. Anyway, This morning, actually, I guess I finished watching through the first season of Jujutsu Kaisen, which was recommended to me by my friend, my anime friend, the one who's knowledgeable on like everything anime that I know of, I guess, except for One Punch Man and Mob Psycho 100. Well, I mean, he's seen One Punch Man, but I found Mob Psycho 100 myself and got invested into it because when I was reading One Punch Man manga, because that is one that I actually try and read, and I think it was during the if you're going by anime timeline, it's during the first season. Though I can't remember which book specifically. It's shown in a scene that Saitama is reading a Mob Psycho 100 manga, I believe, or at least that's what it says at the end, because some of the things are like translated, and some of the things aren't. So at the end there, it's like, here's what the references mean. So that I always thought that was cool with the One Punch Man books or manga. Is it appropriate to call them books? Like, I don't know if that's disrespectful or not. I don't understand manga etiquette other than you read right to left, I guess. I don't know. Because, like, you call comic books, but you don't technically call them books for the most part. Because you can just call them comics, but, like, I've never heard manga be called manga books or whatever, because it's just manga. And I'm trying to figure out what the correct pronunciation for that is. I'm just not good at it. Anyway, Jujutsu Kaisen was really interesting. It got really confusing, honestly, as I was reading it or watching it. Oof, I'm still on the manga bit. No, I haven't read any of Jujutsu Kaisen, but I might have to go through my phone later, or my Discord, because I was informing my friend of how it was going, and he had some questions like, who's your favorite character and all that. So as of like season 1, my favorite character is, oh, what did I call him? The accountant sorcerer guy, like the guy with the critical hit thing, the blonde man. He is really funny, like when he, like, because he's so I think I really like serious characters that are like put in like funny situations, like they're overly serious, which makes the situation funny. Because it's almost like it's almost like it's like they don't understand like what's going on, even though they are completely aware of what's going on. My brother's like that, and he has a learning disability or something, and I don't want to say anything about it, but it just reminds me of that, and it really makes me laugh, even though when my brother does it, I find it annoying. But when it's done in, like, you know, fiction, when it's done in fiction, I find it funny. But in real life, it just kind of gets annoying, honestly. Like, maybe if it's like a new person or whatever, it's cool. But if it's like the same person for like the 80th time, it's not fun anymore. It's just kind of like, darn it, I don't want to hear this again or need this to be explained. I don't know. I don't want to hate on my brother. He's a good guy, but a lot of I mean, people with viewers with siblings, you know what I'm talking about. Maybe you get along great with your sibling, but there's always that one thing that, you know, you don't exactly agree with that they do. There's always something. Maybe it's a small thing, right? Like, I don't know specifically, because there's like a lot of things with my brother, and I don't know what would constitute as small at this point, because I've just like grown up with him my entire life. So I'm just sort of used to like hating on him for all of his crap that he does. And it just gets on my nerves. I guess when he's stopped doing it now, and I make fun of him for it every once in a while. But he used to make, cause he likes sandwiches. He used to make mayonnaise sandwich, which is just 2 slices of bread with mayonnaise in the middle. No cheese, no like salt or pepper, whatever. He doesn't like pepper, which is fair. I don't think it's for everyone. But, and you know, I don't think you really need salt or pepper on a sandwich. Not like a normal sandwich. But I think, you know, like that, like for a lot of people, like a plain, like 2 slices of bread with mayonnaise in the middle is a little weird, right? Like, it's nothing like the sandwiches that Scooby and Shaggy would eat or whatever. Like they're quadruple, like I don't know, what's the biggest like number word that fits that thing? I don't know. But basically, like, you know, because they have those sandwiches that are like 10 stories tall and like sandwich measurements, which, now that I'm saying it out loud, doesn't make sense, but I feel like if you've seen Scooby-Doo, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And you would also say sandwich measurements, maybe. Because it's honestly kind of hard to estimate how tall they are just by looking at them. Maybe like... And yes, I live in America. I use I think it's the imperial system. I think because the metric system's in centimeters and stuff. So I use feet and whatever. Like, I'm not a scientist. I don't need the exact measurements. I think there's too much of a divide between those two. But I'll get to that in a second. So anyway, like, you know, it's nothing that you would like want to puke at, because they throw like everything on a sandwich with like multiple layers of bread and then eat it or whatever. But he just, like, it's mayonnaise. It's just mayonnaise. There's no solid. It's just bread and mush. And he's grown out of it, but he still puts a crap ton of mayonnaise on his mayonnaise and cheese sandwiches. This is like, I don't know. I don't really want to say whose fault this is. I think at the end of the day, my brother has a bigger issue with it, and my mother made one mistake. But long story short, she accidentally fed my brother rotten bologna or something. Like, it looked fine, it looked normal, but I guess the taste was horrible or something. So he never ate non-fried bologna again, basically. That's that story. And then, what was I gonna say before? I knew that I was gonna come back to something. Well, crap. Now I feel stupid. So I was talking about the sandwiches and Scooby-Doo and oh yeah, measurement systems. Right. So I think there's too much of a divide. Like, people are always like, you have to use this one, you have to use this one, right? And don't get me wrong, I understand that the metric system is scientifically better because it's extremely accurate, but at the same time, not everyone needs that amount of accuracy with stuff, right? Like, and this is a very American joke, or a joke used against Americans, but Americans will basically measure in anything except for the metric system. So like, and the reason I really like the imperial system is because, yeah, that's about a foot long, right? Like, you can say that, and that's what it is, right? Like, everyone knows, because an average foot is like 12 inches or something. So like, yeah, that's like that's like 3 feet long, right? Like, everyone knows what that means. Without, like, you could look at it and you could also be like, yeah. But with the metric system, it's so exact that I feel like it would be way harder to like show, because you could be like, well, that's got to be close to something centimeters or something. I don't know. Like, from what I remember, like, because we got taught a little bit of both. It was mostly the imperial system, but when I was really young, I guess, in like elementary school, like when they first taught us the measurements, and the rulers and stuff, having both, one on each side. I think it's about 2.5 centimeters to 1 inch, I believe. It's somewhere around there. It's like, they're like, it's not more than 3, but it's not less than 2, right? Like, I don't know. I think people are too divided. Like, I think together it's a great, like, the imperial and the metric system. Like I would love to see someone, like, without a ruler or anything, or a yardstick. Though a yardstick is technically, because a yard is also part of the imperial system. So a yardstick is 3 feet, because 3 feet is a yard, I guess. Which I didn't learn that till way later for some reason. You know, if you have like a long ruler or like a tape measure or whatever that you know, like, without having one of those, I feel like it becomes a lot harder to estimate in meters or centimeters, because at least for me, like, I know what size a foot should be, so I can estimate that. Like, it's not going to be exact, but if I need to quickly, like, guess, like, the size of something, the imperial system is a lot more helpful for that, right? And then obviously, if you're building something, you're measuring something out specifically, that's where the metric system is king, right? Like, both have their own uses. Like, the imperial system is a lot more like common man's stuff, and I don't think people should trash on it as much as they do. I mean, you know, I'm an American, so I'm biased, obviously, like, but I don't believe that, like, one or the other should be necessarily above the other. I think they should, you know, you should teach people both, because they both have their own uses, right? Like in school, you're not, like, without, like, there are certain exceptions, but, you know, if you know, if you're doing something that needs you to guess the size, right? Yes, that's, well, how many meters is, like, my hand, so I can compare? No, you can't do that, because, well, for one, your hand size changes as you grow, as far as I know. I'm fairly certain I don't have baby hands. So, and you know, feet grow too, so I'm not saying, but, like, feet average out at about, like, a foot, or, well, you know, what is a foot of measurement? At about what is a foot of measurement? That is weirdly difficult to say. So, you know, long story short, I like both systems. I don't have as much of a use for the metric system, because I don't do anything fancy. And if I do, there'll be a tape measure or a ruler nearby, because that's what those are for, to measure those out. Whereas if I need to measure something, like without, like, like that's about so and so tall, that's what the imperial system is for. It's like easy, quick measurements, right? And then you can convert that into the metric system for a more precise, like, so you could say, well, something about, let's say we're talking about like something that's a foot tall. That would probably, like, going with my, let's say 2.5 inches, or 2.5 centimeters is 1 inch, even though I'm fairly certain that's wrong. Then all we have to do is go, well, 1 foot is 12 inches, so 12 times 2.5 is, that's 24, and then half of 12 is 6, so 30. So that would be 30 centimeters. So 12 inches is 30 centimeters, right? And I have no idea if that's true or not, but I could do that really easily. For me, so, I'm an American. I was raised on the imperial system, so that's how that worked. That's it. The imperial system comes easier for me, but it's also way better for just like, oh, well, that's about this tall, right? Like, you can easily guess something's height. Like, the imperial system is good for estimating and stuff, and like comparing stuff to everyday things, I guess. I don't know. Whereas the metric system is for more precise measurements, and I reiterated that enough times to, but all I'm saying is that they both have their merits, and yes, the metric system is more useful overall in terms of like science and math and stuff, but the imperial system has merits. Don't just knock it because it's not the most perfect measurement system in the world. Like, I don't know. I'm not gonna say one's better than the other, because they both have their uses. And, variety is the spice of life, or whatever that corny quote is. So, I've been home for a little bit, and so it's time to end the episode. So, thank you all for listening to the Drive Home podcast, and I will talk to you guys next time I go to work. So, I have tomorrow off, so I won't be talking to you tomorrow, but probably get an episode then, so that's fun. And so, again, I will talk to you all next time. Have a great next 24 hours, and goodbye.